Finding the tricks that work for you. Hi, Vicky Kelty here with another episode of the Language Learning Report Card podcast. My study hits were that I think that I finally found the way to differentiate and use correctly. I'm going to say correctly or more accurately, traer in Spanish and llevar. So it's like the difference between bring and carry. And that's a really easy explanation for it. It is way more complicated than that when you're like in the Spanish zone, or at least for me. Maybe somebody else finds it really easy, which is like so true. Sometimes what one person finds really complicated, another person has no problems with. And when you're the one who finds it complicated, that can be really frustrating. Believe me. So that was my hit. And incidentally, my study bust in connection to that was that before I got to the point where I could differentiate them and use them in, again, I hope a more accurate way. My husband said the last time that I used it, he was like, yeah, that's how I would say it. That's exactly the sentence I would use. So the fingers crossed that I have mastered it. But the bust was that I spent minimum 2 hours. I mean, I was going down a rabbit hole of reading articles, doing practice exercises with the same two verbs, traer and llevar. And I just could not grasp the difference. Like, why is it not this verb here? And why is it the other? Why? And I even used it with my husband when he got home from a trip that he'd been on. And I was like, oh, you brought me this. And he was like, actually, I would have used the other verb. And I'm like, but why? And yeah, it was beyond frustrating. But I specifically chose those two verbs to look at because I know that these two verbs have been words that I avoid unless I specifically know like a certain expression that I would use with them. And then I felt confident using them because I'm like, oh, I know this expression has this verb and the other verb doesn't. It's not a choice. It is only this verb and that expression. But I said, no, Vicky, you have to spend some time with it and see if you can figure this out. And then the other thing that I mastered, so my other study hit, was esto and eso, the difference between this and that. And you would think, well, shouldn't that be easy for you to figure out the difference between? No, my brain, for whatever reason, would confuse the two of them. I don't know why. Maybe this is something that came up for you with English with this and that. I don't know what was going on, but I did finally come up with just a little trick that if I say for eso, if I think like it's so, you're going to be like, this doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't need to be a trick that works for you. It just needs to work for me. Like, this is so far. It's that thing over there that helps me remember. And esto has a T that separates the word so it can't be the thing that's that far away because sto is not the word so. Again, I know it probably doesn't make any sense to you, my little mind trick, but it works for me. And that's what you need to do. You need to find the tricks that work for you for these little verbs that cause confusion, or prepositions or articles or nouns or adjectives or expressions, whatever it is that may be causing you to feel less confident in certain areas. find the tricks that work for you. And you may have to spend some time searching for it. As you heard with my bring and carry debacle, that one was hard in the beginning, but I came back to it. I spent more time with it. And like, this is a not even a year-long process. This is like a lifelong thing that I've struggled with. So I hope that I finally mastered it. It's definitely going to take practicing it more times, using it in situations and like checking to see that the other person has understood me. But um that's that's it. You find your trick, you test it out, you use it and reuse it until it's like ingrained in your memory. And I know I said in earlier episodes of the podcast that I had a similar thing that I needed to figure out a trick for pepper, like salt and pepper, and peppers like the green pepper or red pepper that you eat. So I knew one was feminine and one was masculine, but I couldn't remember which ones. So I had to find the trick that helped me to remember so that when I asked for a green pepper, I wasn't asking for the pepper that goes with the salt. And I did. I figured out the trick for that. And so that's why I jumped back into this whole trick idea for bring and carry and for this and that, because I said, I just know there's a trick there. I know there's a trick somewhere and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find the trick that works for me, for the way that my brain thinks and for the specific situation that I need this for. And I found it. I found the tricks. Yay. I breathe a sigh of relief. I'm so happy. And I've actually been doing practice with the testing of that, remembering eso all the time, because when I've been watching shows in French, sometimes a character will say, that's right, that's it. And I'm like, eso. And it helps me to review it, even though it's just like an unconscious review. It just pops into my head, which is great. I don't do that as much with bring and carry. So hopefully I haven't forgotten those already. But I do think that those two are going to take me more time. I'm going to have to spend more time with them. I'm really proud with how far I've come already with having some successful moments using bring and carry. And I just plan to keep adding to those successful moments. And hopefully it will eventually become ingrained. And one day this will just be some like a thing, this nightmare of when do I use this will be a thing of the past and I won't have to worry about it anymore. So although I didn't give you a specific trick for your situation, whatever it is that you have confused, maybe this will just be the first step that you need to take in order to find the trick that's going to work for you. So I invite you to give it a thought, look for some articles about how to use it, do some practice exercises. Sometimes in class, we have certain pronunciation things that come up or certain phrases. And so I'll comment on them and there's something that will click for the student and it's them coming up with their own trick. But it's just having that other person to bounce the ideas off of that can be the thing that gives you the trick that you're looking for. So if that's something that you need, I'm here to help. That's one of the ways that live classes can also support the learning or the feedback that I share in voice message speaking practice. It's just a matter of trying different ways until something clicks. and you have your trick figured out, and go forth and use it with others. If you have a trick that came to your mind as you were listening to this episode and you would like to share it, please send me a message at hola@vickykelty.com and tell me what is the language trick that has helped you to differentiate between two verbs or an expression that you confused, or the nouns that you couldn't get right, and now you know the difference between them. Whatever it may be, I would love to hear your story as well. All right, that's all from me. Happy learning. Ciao.